Elise's bare feet scraped across frozen stone, each step a prayer her body wouldn't give out before they threw her in. The Frost Ridge pack circled the fighting pit like wolves around wounded prey, which, she supposed, was exactly what she was. For years of scrubbing their floors, swallowing their insults, making herself so small she practically disappeared. And it all came down to this: a 40-foot pit, a starved Lycan, and a crime she didn't commit. The runestone protects this territory, Beta Peterson announced from above, his voice carrying across the winter air. Without it, we're vulnerable, and the thief will face ancient justice. Ancient justice. What a clean way to say execution. Here's what they didn't tell you about survival. Sometimes staying quiet is what gets you killed. I spent 4 years believing if I just kept my head down, if I was good enough, invisible enough, small enough, I'd be safe. I was wrong. The gate groaned. Metal on metal, the sound of inevitability. The Lycan emerged from the darkness on the opposite side. Massive, scarred, eyes yellow with 5 days of starvation. The crowd's collective breath caught, not in horror, but in anticipation. They wanted blood. They wanted proof that the weak deserved to die. I closed my eyes. The ground shook as it charged. Closer, closer. I could smell it. Rot and rage and something wild that had nothing left to lose. Then, silence. I opened my eyes. The beast stood inches away, claws still embedded in frozen earth from its sudden stop. And then, slowly, impossibly, it lowered its massive head to the ground. Bowed. Like I was something sacred it had been searching for its entire cursed life. The pack erupted in chaos. But all I could think was, what does it see that I don't? Welcome back. Or if you're new here, welcome. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments. I love seeing our story spread. How are you doing today? Let me know. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. Ready? Let's jump in. 2 hours earlier, I was elbow deep in dishwater when they came for me. No warning. No explanation. Just Beta Peterson's hand around my arm, hauling me out of the kitchen like I was something that needed disposing of. The other Omegas scattered. That's what you learn when you're at the bottom. Don't get involved. Don't make eye contact. Don't become the next target. Elise, Peterson announced to the assembled pack, his voice sharp enough to cut. You stand accused of stealing the sacred runestone. The words didn't make sense. I cleaned floors. I served meals. I existed in the spaces between notice and nobody even knew my name half the time. I didn't. My voice cracked. I would never. The stone protects our borders, he continued like I hadn't spoken. Without it, we're exposed to every enemy pack within 100 miles. And you? He looked at me like I was dirt. You were seen near the vault 3 nights ago. I clean there every week, I said, hating how small I sounded. That's my job. I didn't take anything. But here's the truth about being powerless. Your words don't matter. Your innocence doesn't matter. What matters is who they need to blame, and I was convenient. The crowd parted, and Alpha Fredrik stepped through. 6'4" of pure dominance. Dark hair. Eyes like winter storms. I'd spent 4 years making sure he never looked at me directly, and now those eyes pinned me like I was prey. The law is ancient, he said, voice carrying across the courtyard. Trial by combat. 15 minutes in the pit. Survive, and you're proven innocent. My legs nearly gave out. The pit gates groaned open behind me, and the crowd pressed closer, hungry for the show. Sometimes the cage isn't locked. Sometimes you just forget you have claws. The pit was 40 feet of frozen hell. Ice-slicked walls rose 12 feet high. Too smooth to climb, too high to jump. The entire pack circled above like vultures, their faces blurred by my terror and the winter fog rolling off their breath. I could feel their anticipation. They'd already written my ending. 15 minutes, Fredrik called down, his voice echoing off stone. That's all you need to survive. All. Like it was simple. Like I had a chance. The holding gate on the opposite side began to rise, chains shrieking against frozen metal. The smell hit first. Death. Decay. Something wild that had been caged too long and fed too little. My stomach turned, but I couldn't look away from that widening gap of darkness. Then I saw it. The Lycan emerged on all fours, and God, it was massive. Easily 8 feet tall if it stood. Gray matted with old blood. Scars crisscrossing its body like a roadmap of violence. And its eyes. Yellow. Feral. fixed on me like I was the first meal it had seen in days. Because I was. Inside me, something stirred. My wolf. The part of me I'd buried so deep I almost forgot it existed. She sensed the danger, wanted to surface, wanted to shift and fight. No. I shoved her down hard. If I shifted, if I let her out, they'd see the mark on my forearm. They'd know what I was. And that would be worse than dying here. The Lycan's muscles bunched. I had 3 seconds to decide. Reveal everything I'd hidden for 4 years, or die keeping the secret. The beast charged. And I realized, some choices aren't about survival. They're about what version of yourself you're willing to die as. The Lycan stopped. Inches from my face. Close enough I could see the foam at its jaws, smell the rot on its breath. Its claws tore through frozen earth, gouging deep trenches as it skidded to a halt. Then it did something impossible. It dropped to its belly, pressed its scarred, massive head to the ground, and went completely still. The silence that followed was louder than any scream. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Because Lycans don't do this. They kill. They destroy. They don't bow. Witchcraft, Peterson hissed from above. Dark magic. She's bound it somehow. She's done nothing but stand there, someone else argued. But I wasn't standing. I was frozen, staring at this creature that should have torn me apart, watching it tremble at my feet like I was something sacred. Explain this. A woman's voice cut through the chaos. Cold. Precise. Luna Iris appeared at the pit's edge, her elegant face twisted with suspicion. What are you? I didn't have an answer. My mouth opened. Nothing came out. Fredrik's voice cracked like a whip. Remove her chains. 2 guards descended into the pit, moving cautiously. The Lycan's head lifted slightly, lips pulling back in warning. Not at me. At them. Protecting me. When they unlocked the iron cuffs, the Lycan positioned itself between me and everyone else. A living shield. For years you've worked in my pack, Fredrik said, his eyes locked on me with an intensity that made my skin burn. For years, and I never once questioned who you were. He stepped down into the pit, each footfall deliberate. Dangerous. But that creature recognizes something. He moved closer. Something you've been hiding. My heart slammed against my ribs. Show me your forearm, Elise. The one you always keep covered. And there it was. The question I'd spent 4 years praying no one would ask. Because once they saw what was underneath that cloth, they'd know. They'd all know. Some secrets don't protect you. They just delay the inevitable. My hands shook as I reached for the cloth wrapped around my left forearm. This was it. The moment I'd avoided for 4 years. The moment that would either kill me or free me. And honestly, I wasn't sure which terrified me more. Show me, Fredrik repeated. Not cruel. Not kind. Just inevitable. The cloth had been white once. Now it was gray from years of wear, wound so tight, it left marks on my skin. I picked at the knot with trembling fingers. Here's what they don't tell you about hiding. Eventually, you forget what you looked like before you disappeared. You become the mask. You believe the lie. I unwrapped the first layer. Then the second. The pack pressed closer to the pit's edge, hungry to see what I'd protected all this time. The final layer fell away. The mark blazed silver against my skin, a crown of frost wrapped in wolf fangs, intricate and unmistakable. It seemed to glow in the winter light, like it had been waiting to be seen. The pack exploded. The winter court. That's impossible. They're extinct. She can't be. Fredrik went very, very still. I watched him piece it together in real time. The way I flinched from authority. The way I never met anyone's eyes. The way I'd made myself invisible for 4 years. Your name, he said quietly. Your full name. I lifted my chin. If I was going to die, I'd die as myself. Elise Winterborn. Last surviving heir of the Winter Court bloodline. The words felt strange in my mouth, like speaking a language I'd forgotten. 8 years ago, I continued, my voice stronger now, 7 packs united. They said my family was dangerous, that our gift was dark magic, that we controlled wolves against their will. I looked at the sea of hostile faces. So they came in the night. They burned everything, killed everyone. How did you survive? Fredrik asked. I was 14, visiting my aunt in neutral territory. My throat tightened. By the time I got the message and came home, there was nothing left but ash and bodies. So I ran. I hid. I became nobody, because nobody was safer than being me. Fredrik was fully in the pit now, standing 10 feet away. And now, he asked. Now they know, I said. And I'm out of places to hide. Sometimes being seen is the most dangerous thing you can do. And sometimes it's the only way to survive. Look at me. It wasn't a request. It was an alpha command, and my body obeyed before my mind could fight it. I lifted my eyes to Fredrik's. The world detonated. Heat slammed into me, golden, fierce, absolutely devastating. My wolf howled, surging forward with a recognition so powerful it drove me to my knees. The bond snapped into place like a cord pulled taut, connecting us with a force that stole the breath from my lungs. Mate. No. No, this couldn't. Fredrik's eyes blazed amber, his wolf rising to the surface. I felt his shock mirror mine, felt the moment his wolf roared in answer to mine, claiming, demanding, recognizing. You're mine, he growled, the words barely human. I can't be. My voice broke. I can't, this isn't. But the bond was there, undeniable and absolute. I could feel his heartbeat syncing with mine, feel his wolf reaching for mine like they'd been searching for each other across lifetimes. The pack gasped. They felt it too, that surge of power rippling outward, the unmistakable signature of a mate bond forming. The Lycan pressed against my leg, still protective, still somehow understanding what I was before anyone else did. This changes everything, Fredrik said, his voice rough. No. I forced myself to stand, even though my legs were shaking. I'm still accused of theft. The rune stone is still missing. The bond doesn't erase that. I needed him to focus. Needed to redirect this before I drowned in what I was feeling. Fredrik's jaw tightened. Then he turned, his gaze locking onto Beta Peterson, who raised the accusation against her. And just like that, the question shifted from what she is to who wanted her dead. Sometimes the biggest danger isn't the beast in the pit. It's the one standing above it, wearing a friendly face. Peterson's face went pale. It was. Luna Iris brought the accusation to me, Alpha. The crowd shifted. Murmurs rippled through the pack like a shockwave. Luna Iris stepped to the pit's edge, composed and elegant as always. I did what was necessary to protect this pack. Explain. Fredrik's voice could have cut glass. 3 nights ago, I noticed her near the vault. Iris gestured at me like I was evidence. An Omega with no business in that corridor. I investigated further and discovered. She paused for effect. Discrepancies. Her scent where it shouldn't be. Questions about her past that had no answers. So you accused her of theft? Fredrik's eyes narrowed. I accused her of being a threat. Iris's mask cracked just slightly. And I was right, wasn't I? Look at what she is. Where's the rune stone? Fredrik's voice dropped to something dangerous. Iris hesitated. Just a fraction of a second, but I saw it. Tell me the truth, Mother. The alpha command in his voice was absolute. Unavoidable. Where is the stone? Her composure shattered like ice. I have it, she bit out, the words forced from her throat. I secured it because I believed, correctly, that we were harboring a winter court heir. The northern packs would have destroyed us for protecting her. The silence was deafening. You framed me, I said, and my voice didn't shake this time. You were going to let me die. Your bloodline is dangerous, Iris snapped. Soul stealers. Mindbenders. Your family controlled wolves against their will. My family healed wolves. I stepped forward, the Lycan moving with me. We spoke to their souls, yes. But we didn't steal them. We helped wolves who were lost, feral, broken. Like him. I gestured to the Lycan. He's not controlled. He's finally understood. Lies, Iris hissed. Propaganda. The propaganda, I interrupted, is what you believe. It's what they told you to justify genocide. Fredrik moved between us, his presence absolute. Luna Iris, he said, each word deliberate. You are stripped of your title, effective immediately. Guards, take her to holding. Sometimes the person you trust most is the one who'll betray you first. And sometimes standing up means watching everything burn. Guards closed in around Iris, but she wasn't finished. You would choose that creature over your own mother? Her voice cracked with fury. Over your blood? Fredrik didn't flinch. You tried to murder an innocent woman. My mate. You're not my mother anymore. The northern packs will come. Iris snarled as they dragged her back. They'll burn this territory to the ground for harboring her. You've killed us all. Let them come. Fredrik's voice carried across the entire pack. Elise Winterborn will be my Luna. And any pack, any territory, any wolf that threatens her will answer to me. The declaration hit like a thunderclap. Some pack members dropped to their knees immediately. Others looked uncertain, afraid. A few whispered among themselves, calculating the cost of this choice. And me? I stood there, frozen, because he'd just painted a target on his entire pack. For me. Fredrik, you can't. I can. He turned to face me fully, and the mate bond pulsed between us, insistent. I am. They'll come for me, I said, hating how my voice shook. The northern packs, the ones who killed my family. They'll see this as unfinished business. Then we'll finish it together. You don't understand what you're offering. I understand perfectly. He moved closer, and I should have stepped back, should have maintained distance, but I didn't. You've been alone for 8 years. Running, hiding, believing you had to be invisible to survive. His hand came up, gentle, and rested on my scarred forearm, right over the mark I'd hidden for so long. The touch burned, but not with pain, with recognition. You don't have to do that anymore, he said quietly, just for me. You don't have to be alone. The bond hummed between us, warm and insistent and terrifying in its certainty. I wanted to say yes, wanted to lean into this, into him, into the belonging he was offering. But I'd learned the hard way. Wanting something doesn't mean you're ready for it. I need time, I whispered. And the hardest thing he did? He gave it to me. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for what you need, even when someone's offering you everything. Fredrik nodded once. Then take it. No argument. No pressure. Just acceptance. The pack dispersed slowly, still processing what they'd witnessed. A Luna dethroned. A hidden heir revealed. A mate bond that changed everything. But I stayed in the pit. The Lycan pressed against my leg, and for the first time in 8 years, I stopped fighting what I was. I knelt in the frozen earth and placed my hand on the creature's scarred head, closed my eyes, and reached out with the gift I'd buried so deep I'd almost forgotten it existed. The connection hit like falling through ice. His agony crashed into me, years of being trapped between man and beast, unable to shift fully either way. The hunger, the rage, the desperate, clawing loneliness of a mind fractured beyond recognition. I see you, I whispered, and pushed warmth through the connection. Not control, not domination, just understanding. I felt the exact moment his soul recognized mine. Felt the jagged edges of his fractured mind begin to smooth, the divide between human and wolf finally bridging. His eyes shifted, yellow to amber, clear, aware. Above us, Fredrik watched in absolute silence. This was my power. Not soul-stealing, not mind-bending. This, healing the broken places, speaking to the parts of wolves that had been lost, offering peace where there had only been torment. The Lycan let out a long, shuddering breath and lowered his massive head into my lap. I'll help you, I promised him, this creature who'd bowed when he should have killed. And every wolf like you. The lost ones. The broken ones. The ones everyone gave up on. Because I knew what it felt like to be abandoned. To be labeled dangerous when you were just desperate to survive. The Lycan's breathing evened out, finally, blessedly calm. And I realized, maybe my family's legacy wasn't something to hide from. Maybe it was something worth dying to protect. Sometimes the thing you're most afraid of is exactly what the world needs most. They gave me quarters on the 3rd floor. Not the Alpha's suite. Fredrik understood I wasn't ready for that. Just a room. My own space. The first privacy I'd had in 4 years. I was still staring at the actual bed when someone knocked. Martine from the kitchen stood in the doorway, holding a tray of food I knew I wouldn't eat. Thought you might be hungry, she said. Then, quieter. Thought you might want someone who isn't. Overwhelming. I almost cried. We talked for hours. About what came next. The Luna ceremony Fredrik wanted to hold in 2 weeks. The northern packs already sending scouts to confirm the rumors. The wolves who feared me and the ones who were curious. When Fredrik came later, he asked one question. What do you need? Time to grieve, I said, and watched his face soften with understanding. I survived my family's death. I never processed it. I just ran. 2 weeks, he agreed. Then we faced this together. If you're ready. The Lycan stayed. My first real companion in 8 years. He curled up by the door each night, amber eyes watching, protecting. Word spread about what I'd done for him. Wolves started approaching, carefully, respectfully, asking if I could help their packmates who'd been lost to their beasts. I said yes. Every time. Because here's what I learned. Grief doesn't have a timeline, and healing isn't linear. You don't get over trauma. You just learn to carry it differently. By the end of the week, I was standing at my window, looking out at Frost Ridge territory, and I wasn't planning my escape route anymore. I was planning how to stay. The girl who scrubbed floors was gone. The Omega who made herself invisible was dead. And in her place, someone who was finally ready to be seen. Sometimes you don't find yourself. You build yourself from the pieces they said weren't worth saving. I spent the week learning how to be myself again. Fredrik respected my boundaries, didn't push, didn't demand. But when Northern scouts appeared at the border, he made one thing crystal clear to every pack within 500 miles. Elise Winterborn was under his protection. Touch her, and burn. On day 5, I visited Iris in holding. She looked smaller somehow. Less Luna, more just woman. Terrified woman who'd made terrible choices. I'm not here to forgive you, I said. But I need to understand. What? Fear, she said simply. I was afraid of what you could do. What they'd do to us for harboring you. She looked up, eyes hollow. Fear makes us cruel. Yes, I agreed. It does. Understanding didn't erase what she'd done, but it made her human. The rune stone was returned. Border patrols doubled. And I practiced using my gift, carefully, intentionally, on wolves who came seeking help. Martine asked me what being Luna meant. I don't know yet, I admitted. But I think it's choosing to show up even when you're terrified. The Lycan became my shadow. Proof that my power could heal, not harm. On day 13, Fredrik found me at my window. Are you ready? He asked. Not for the ceremony. For everything it represented. I'm ready to try, I said. The next evening, we stood together before the pack. I didn't move into his quarters. That would come later, when I was ready. But I accepted the bond publicly. Let them see the mark on my forearm. Let them see me. I wasn't fully Luna yet. But I wasn't the Omega anymore either. I was somewhere in between. Standing at the threshold. Not hiding. Not fully emerged. But finally willing to step forward. Because here's the truth they don't tell you. You don't have to be fearless to be brave. You just have to be willing to move forward anyway. Elise had spent 8 years believing she was the last. But she wasn't the end of her bloodline story. She was the beginning of its next chapter. And this time, she would write it on her own terms. Here's what I learned writing Elise's story. The most powerful transformations don't happen when we stop being afraid. They happen when we decide to move forward anyway. If this resonated with you, if you've ever felt like you had to make yourself small to survive, drop a comment below. Tell me, what would you do if you stopped hiding? I read every single one. And if Elise's journey from invisible to unstoppable hit you right in the chest, hit that like button and subscribe. Because we're just getting started, and trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. Your turn. Let's talk in the comments.